4 games unbeaten. Welcome back to Where the Red Dragons Walk. For myself, Luke, and today we have got Ed. We'll be discussing all things Wrexham, including this week's A to Z. We're on the letter B, and also looking at tweet of the week. So, Ed, the Hollywood derby ends in a draw. Let's start with that.
Yes, why not? So it was our third consecutive 1-1 draw. So we're well used to 1-1 draws. And we drew 1-1 with Birmingham at home last year as well. So maybe it was quite a predictable score. First off, we played well. We were definitely the better team. We were on top. We deserved to be 1-0 up. O'Brien missed a really big chance of 1-on-1, which would have put us 2-0 up. But then second half, they hit us within about 20, 30 seconds. Just straight away, they scored. Bit of a ricochet in the midfield. And then all of a sudden, it's 1-1. And to be fair, they edged the second half effort. It was quite a fair result. We're still waiting to get that first home win in the league. So that's the thing which hopefully will change pretty soon.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. But looking over the 2 games, obviously Leicester away. We'll go back to that game as well. I mean, that's a good point away at the King Power.
Fantastic point, yeah. And again, we played well. We played well at Leicester. I think we deserved the point there. That was a fantastic result on its own. It would have been fantastic then to have got back to winning ways versus Birmingham and turn it into 4 points. I think the problem with our form at the minute is with 3 straight draws, it's just the same really as 1 win and 2 defeats. So fantastic away draw. Okay-ish against Birmingham, I suppose. Okay draw, but still it is only 2 points in the last couple of games. So we've got to be careful with that. I was looking at last season's final table and I saw that Luton went down on 49 points. At the minute we've played 9, we've got 10 points. So we're pretty close to a point a game at the moment. But I know the standard's so tough.
Yeah, and that's why if you look at a point a game, if you're looking just to staying in the league, and a point a game is a good result. It's a good sort of a ratio, isn't it? So it depends what the outlook is for Wrexham and Wrexham fans. But I think if we flip this to the positive, it's 4 games unbeaten now, and yes, the win obviously hasn't been there as much, but having that foundation of not losing builds. It's a new team, isn't it? It's a new team that you've got, and it builds that sort of character. It builds that sort of mindset not lose games, and I think that's important, isn't it, Ed?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we always expected to start slow. We didn't have the best pre-season. We had the down under tour where the standard wasn't fantastic. Great exposure for the football club. But again, probably not the best pre-season. Then, as you say, there's so many new faces. I was listening to something that Sean Harvey said the other day that during the summer, there was 29 ins and outs. So that's quite a turnover of new faces. That's just players. So we've always thought this is going to take a bit of time to gel. And I know previously on the pod, Steve has said that he expects around November for things to begin to really spark on the field. So if that does transpire, then this start, as you say, it's not too bad. We're certainly tough to beat at the moment. You can see we're championship level. You can see we can compete. And we're finding out that just these little moments, lapse of concentration against Birmingham, boom, it's 1-1, following a very, very good first half display. What we're struggling with at the moment, I think, is putting 90 minutes together. Yeah. But hopefully that will come as the team settles, as the team begins to gel. And now with the international break, we've got 2 weeks off. So more faces come back. I think Rathbone's pretty close in the midfield. He can bring his energy, whether that's coming off the bench or starting. Things should begin to settle down, I hope.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously, going back to the Birmingham game, everyone keeps making comparisons, don't they, of Wrexham and Birmingham together. What do you think, Ed? Who's going to finish the higher in the table this season? Do you think it's going to be Wrexham?
Do you know what? I'm beginning to change. So I think you asked me a similar question a few weeks ago, and I said Birmingham. And I felt Birmingham because I thought they'd recruited really, really well in the summer, but they didn't look fantastic. And I definitely saw a lot on their social media about how it was their best second half performance this season. And I kind of thought, well, if that's your best, you've not done particularly well. Yes, you edged the second half, but it wasn't fantastic. And we were pretty poor second half. So now I'm beginning to change a little bit. I think as we settle down, I think we can finish above them.
Yeah, I think if you go player to player, I think you've probably got Wrexham have probably got the higher quality player individually. It's just obviously, like you say, getting them all to gel together as a team. Right, so next thing I want to talk about is something that's across the board that I've been seeing. I think a lot of clubs are not happy with it. Is the standard of refereeing in the Championship. I mean, obviously you've experienced refereeing over quite a few leagues the last few seasons, so I'd love to hear what you think about it, sort of the whole sort of pyramid, really, in terms of the refereeing.
I don't think, I know I've heard there's been a lot of criticism this season, and there's a few bad decisions I've certainly seen already involving Wrexham games. I don't think it's as bad as what we used to have to endure in the National League. That was particularly poor and felt quite amateurish, to be fair. So it's still not great. But even if we go above us and we look at the Premier League, or I know last week there was a European game where Celtic got a goal disallowed with VAR. I'm quite pleased that we don't have VAR in the Championship. Hopefully that won't come about, but I still can see that some of the refereeing, some of the standards, they're not fantastic. But there again, who wants to be a referee? If we want to get quality referees, who actually wants to be a referee? Not many people.
No, they're just as popular as traffic wardens, aren't they? No one wants to. No one wants to be a referee. I get it. The amount of stick that they get, not just at this sort of level. Like you're looking down even just like grassroots football. The amount of stick that they get from dads on the sidelines and parents on the sidelines, etc. It's tough. I think that the standard is so low, and for a league that is so professional and so seen all around the world, especially the top two leagues in the English football are seen as like top two leagues across Europe. So to have the refereeing standards that we do is a little bit of an embarrassment, really. And something that I'm not sure if you're familiar with, Ed, but the Premier League, when the Premier League referees, when they're say they make a mistake, the City game live on Sky, they make a mistake, they then will get demoted to the Championship for a few games as a punishment. That doesn't add up to me, does it? That surely shouldn't be the case.
But no, because what does that say? That you're so bad that now you go and referee at Championship level. So there's the message, which really you would like to see the Championship full of referees that obviously will aspire to the Premier League because that's our top competition. But to demote, it shows if they're doing pretty poorly in the Premier League, why are they all of a sudden going to be a better referee in the Championship? The only difference is there isn't the VAR there, but actually on the pitch, it's still the same ref.
Yeah,
and there's so much money in the game in the Championship. These decisions, it can be make or break.
The amount of money that, especially nowadays, which is in the Championship, is huge. But yeah, I completely agree. And especially sending a referee down who, like you say, has been used to VAR, then suddenly he's not got VAR. And why are they thinking that's going to be any better? Yeah, it boggles my mind, that decision making, and I think it makes for the reason why we got the standards of refereeing. That, and something else I want to run past you is the changing of the rules. Every season there seems to be a new slight concept of the rules, and I think that's just not confusing just the referees. It's confusing the players, it's confusing the fans, and it's making it hard to sort of interpret what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely does. I know one of the recent ones at the moment is if the ball is held in the goalkeeper's arms for 8 seconds, it's a corner. But then that's still very difficult to implement. How many referees, once it hits, say, 9 seconds, 10 seconds, are implementing it? It's still a very difficult one. I think it's a good change if it was implemented, but it's a difficult one to do. But you're right, there seems to almost be change for the sake of change rather than things are okay. Let's leave the game alone for a little bit. But I suppose a lot of this is coming from above, from FIFA and different things. I know there was a rumor about penalties, that if the keeper saves a penalty, no rebounds are allowed. That's not been implemented, I know, but who knows in the future? There's some crazy ideas.
Could be that, and so many more. I like to say it needs to be simplified. I mean, you go back to when we were, growing up younger, Ed, the rule seemed a lot more simpler, and it seemed a lot more matter of fact. This is what it was, and get on with it type of thing. Where now it's just there's so much confusion there. But let's hope that it improves.
I was going to say, yeah, it was simpler when I was younger than when you were younger. It's a bit of a gap.
I didn't want to say that, Ed, you know what I mean? I did. It was simpler for both our generations. Right. Let's look for. Obviously, we've got a game in a couple of weeks' time now. We've got the dreaded international break that no one enjoys, especially this time of the season. Why do you have it in there? Anyway, Stoke away. So that's the game that we come to. What's your predictions, Ed? Are we hoping to get an away victory?
I think we've looked good on the road. We were very, very good at Norwich. We won at Millwall. This season seems to be the reverse of every recent season where we've been really, really solid at home. Teams have been very happy if they can come to the racecourse and get a point. But this season so far, on the travels, we've looked really good. So I do fancy us at Stoke. I know Stoke are riding high, but there's nothing to lose for us. We played Stoke quite a few years ago. It might have been 10 or something years ago. We were National League. They were Premier League. And we nearly did a giant killing. We were 1-0 up after about 70 minutes. And then all kind of went wrong at the end. And we lost 3-1. But this will be a nice to be playing them when there's parity in the same league. And it is kind of a mini derby. It's not far. It's about an hour away from Wrexham. It's not bad at all.
Another one of your derby games.
Another Hollywood.
Let's go on to the A to Z for this week, shall we? So the A to Z this week is the letter B. So who is your letter B for Wrexham this week, Ed?
This one for me was dead simple. So I am going to go back to the 90s, but my favourite ever Wrexham player is Gary Bennett. He was a striker for Wrexham in the 90s. He signed from Chester, so from our real derby, our real rivals. And he wasn't popular. I can remember we used to call the Isle of Man, so long before the glamour American days in New Zealand, Australia. And there were Wrexham fans that were booing him and giving him quite a lot of grief because he'd signed from Chester. Took him a few weeks to settle down. He got a hat-trick against Bury. And since then, he scored over 100 goals in 3 seasons, but really, really connected with the fans. Just a brilliant, brilliant striker. So for me, he just wore the Wrexham top, so much passion, and definitely my favourite player. And that hat-trick, actually, they were his first goals for Wrexham, but it was your true, proper hat-trick. Header, left foot, right foot. He's a superb player. So for me, it was easy. Definitely Bennett.
Can't get better than that. Maybe it'll be Nathan Broadhead for a few people coming up in the next couple of years. We'll see.
Yeah, it will. I'm showing my age again when I'm going back about 20, 30 years.
Right, finishing off with Tweet of the Week, as we always do. So Tweet of the Week this week is, I've got 2. And I think this is, we'll chat about it, but it shows the sort of the disparity between the 2 sets of, 2 fan bases, if you like, what they think. So we've got one tweet that says complete and utter disappointment, and then we've got another tweet that says we are building to success. So you've got 2 of the extremes, and I feel like going through the Wrexham forums, the Wrexham Twitter, the Wrexham channels, it does seem to be 2 different camps. You're either very positive or very, very negative. Whereabouts do you sit, Ed?
I'm more on the positive side. So at the minute, I'm more heading towards the positive. I think we're playing some really, really tough teams, and we are beginning to look like there's definitely some good phases in games where we're giving teams good games. So I'm more positive, but obviously I see it as well. We've been a team that's used to just winning all the time, especially at home. We haven't won at home in the league. We've done well in the League Cup so far this season, but I can see where there is people still quite negative sometimes with our style of play. And I think some people don't realise just what a jump we've made. And what do we want to achieve this season? We've spent a lot of money, but I know it's not quite in the owner's remit, but if we consolidate, that isn't a bad thing. Surely this is a tough league. And we've just had such a turnover of players. You would like to think that maybe next summer, that the turnover we've had this season, it will be a lot more settled with maybe 3 or 4 more quality additions. So I'm certainly more in the positive. I'd have took 10 points out of 9 games. I'd have took that if you'd have said that at the start of the season, but definitely in line with let's build on it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it goes to what is the ambition this year, and it might not be a sexy statement to come out and say let's be happy staying put, but I think that's that's absolutely fine. The rise that the Wrexham have had, I think that'll be absolutely fine. Lovely. Thank you very much, Ed, for another great conversation. And thank you, everybody, for watching at home. Please like and subscribe. And please get involved in the comments below on your A to Z for the letter B for Wrexham. Cheers.